Alright guys, this is a nice little review of our basic polynomial functions. We're going to be learning about adding and subtracting functions, multiplying functions, binomial expansion using Pascal's triangle, little terminology, standard form, degree, leading coefficient, constant, things of that sort. Alright, so that's what this lesson is about. But before we get started, remember, please put your pencils down, people. Do not do your homework along with the video. First, do the assignment by yourself as best you can. Then check your answers using the answer key posted on Edmodo. Then watch the video, skipping to the problems you got wrong or you could not complete. But still, no copying, even then. Because what I want you to do is go back. The ones you got wrong and you had to watch the video, or the ones you left blank, you're still watching the video with no pencil in your hand, and then go back and do those problems by yourself after watching the video, but still go back and do it by yourself. Basically, at no point should you ever have a pencil in your hand while the video is running. Okay, for problem number 1, we're supposed to add function f plus function g. So here's function f, I just copied it from here, and here's function g copied from here. Now, when you're adding, the parentheses are just really there to make the problem more clear, but they're not changing the value of the expression. So you could just erase those parentheses and look for your like terms. Okay, so here I have 4x squared and 10x squared are like terms. So if I put those together, that makes 14x squared. Alright, notice the variable part doesn't change when you combine like terms. Alright, next I've got my positive 5x and my positive 7x. So that's going to make positive 12x. Okay, finally I have negative 15 and negative 7. So that's like negative 15 plus negative 7, so that's going to be negative 22. Okay, if you have trouble with your arithmetic, adding and subtracting like I just did, then sometimes you're going to be using your calculator to help you, okay? Just understand when you're combining like terms, you're always adding. So when you're combining negative 15 and negative 7, then you're thinking negative 15 plus negative 7. You're basically always adding when you combine like terms. Okay, anyway, that was the final answer for number 1. Alright, number 2. This time we're supposed to do g minus f, and we'll have to be a bit more careful. Alright, well, here's function g and here's function f. So function g minus function f. Let me just double check. Yeah. Alright, you have to be careful when you're subtracting. You cannot just erase the parentheses like I did for addition. Because this negative sign, first of all, make sure you use parentheses in the first place, like I am. But then you need to understand that this negative is a negative 1. So you need to distribute that negative 1 across function f here. So that's going to become negative 4x squared minus 5x plus 15. Alright, that's a common mistake, is just to not put parentheses and not distribute the minus sign, and of course that will be the wrong answer. So that I'll just bring this down, 10x squared plus 7x minus 7. Now it's time for those like terms. Okay, so I've got my 10x squared and my negative 4x squared. If I put those together, that's going to be 6. I say that's going to be 6x squared. Alright, next, like terms, my positive 7 and my negative 5x. Together, that's going to be positive 2x. And last but not least, combining a negative 7 with a positive 15, that's going to be positive 8. Alright, so that will be our final answer for number 2. Alright, for number 3, we're supposed to evaluate. Okay, that's what this means. F of 2 plus plus g of 2. Now, with a number in here like this, it means substitute this number for the x's in that particular function. So what I really encourage you to do is to do these two problems separately and then just add at the end. So, function f of 2. Alright, here on the left I have function f, and on the right here I have function g. So if I want to evaluate function f at 2, which is what this means, I'm going to substitute 2 for all these x's. So that's why I'm going to have 4 times 2 squared plus 5 times 2 minus 15. Okay, now I could certainly evaluate this by hand, but time is money. So let's just put this in the calculator. So I've got 4, use parentheses anytime you substitute, just like I did. So 4 times 2 squared plus 5 times 2 minus 15. Okay, do it just like that. So that's 11. Okay, and let's do the same thing with function g. Alright, so I'm going to have 10 times 2 squared plus 7 times 2 minus 7. Okay, and again, let's use our calculator. So 10 times 2 squared plus 7 times 2 minus 7. That is 47. Okay, so we're supposed to do function f of 2 plus g of 2. So we just need to add these two things together. Okay, so clearly 11 plus 47 is going to be 58. So that will be your final answer. Okay, not too bad. Okay, so 2 times function f minus function g. Let's set that up. Alright, so here we go. So here's 2 times function f minus function g. Again, notice my use of parentheses. Do it just like I do. So we're going to do the distributive property with the 2. So that's going to give me 8x squared plus 10x minus 30. But again, be very careful. We need to do also the distributive property with this 1. Alright, this negative 1. Okay, so that's going to change all these signs. So I'm going to have negative 10x squared, but I will have minus 7x and positive 7. Now we can do the like terms. So we have 8x and a negative, 8x squared and a negative 10x squared. If we put those together, that's going to make negative 2x squared. Next, we have a positive 10x and a negative 7x. Together, that will be positive 3x. And finally, we have negative 30 and a positive 7. So that's going to be negative 23. Alright, so that is our final answer for number 4. Alright, for number 5, we are switching from adding and subtracting to multiplying. So we have 3 times function g. Also, we have new functions here. So 3 times function g, and function g is x squared plus 5x. So that's 3 times x squared plus 5x. 3 times function g. And then times function f, which is right there. So 2x squared plus 3x minus 5. Alright, just making sure I'm copying it down right. Alright, so we really have 3 things that we need to multiply together. I would go ahead and do the distributive property here first real quick. So that's going to give us 3x squared plus 15x. Alright, and just bring down function f unchanged. 2x squared plus 3x minus 5. Okay, to do this multiplication, a polynomial times a polynomial, in this case a binomial times a trinomial, it's just a matter of doing the distributive property a number of times. So I'm going to start by distributing the 3x squared. So if I do that, multiplying 3x squared times each one of these terms. So here's what I get. So 3 times, first of all, 3x squared times 2x squared. Well, 3 times 2 is 6. But x squared times x squared is x to the 4th power. Okay, x to the 4th power. Now, 3x squared times 3x. 3 times 3 is 9. But x squared times x is x to the 3rd power. And finally, 3x squared times negative 5. 3 times negative 5 is negative 15. And then I have just the x squared, because this doesn't have any x's to contribute. Alright, now I will switch, and I will distribute the other term, 15x. So this 15x is going to have to be distributed like this. Okay, 15x times 2x squared. 15 times 2 is 30. X times x squared is x to the 3rd power. Now, I could write this down like this, plus 30 x to the 3rd power. But here's what I like to do. See how there's an x to the 3rd power, 9x to the 3rd power? Those are like terms. It helps me stay better organized if I line up my like terms as I go. So again, I recommend you do it the way I do. So I'm going to put my 30 x to the 3rd power underneath, so it'll be easier to see what to do next. So I'll continue that. So 15x times 3x. 15 times 3 is 45. Okay, and x times x is x squared. So that goes with this like term. So 45x squared. And then 15x times negative 5. Well, 15 times negative 5, let me think. That's negative 75. Okay, you know what? I mean, you can feel free to use a calculator if you need to. So I had to think about it for a second. 15 times 5 is 75. So negative 75 in this case. And then we have the x that's there. Okay, so that's it. There was no like term for that. Now we combine our like terms. So I just like to put a big line here. My 6x to the 4th power is just going to come down. But like terms, 30 and 9 make 39. So that'll be 39x to the 3rd power. Alright, negative 15 and positive 45 make positive 30 x squared. And then you bring down your negative 75x. Again, when you're combining like terms, you're always adding. So if you can't comfortably do this addition in your head the way I did, then you will do it this way. You will do negative 15 plus 45. It's always addition. Okay, and that's it. So this will be the final answer for number 5. Alright, this particular video is long enough, so I think this is a convenient place for me to end this video. So I will continue with this lesson on the next video with number 6 and 7 and so on. I will see you on the next video, people.